if I come in here and I tell you that I want justice, you say, no justice, no peace. Right? We all hold our placards out there in the streets and we march. And then someone comes along and goes, okay, what is justice? How do you answer that? But you know what it is, right? But you don't understand what it is. And you know what it is. This is interesting. You also understand what it is, but you've never encountered it before. So it's worth thinking about. Because this is the foundation for Socrates' epistemology, Socrates' theory of knowledge. How is it that we know what we know? And we think it's a really simple question, and it is a simple question, but it's a really, really, really important question. How is it that we know what we know? Because the things that you do in life, again, the things that you do in life are based off of the things that you know. Say it again, the things that you do in life are based off of the things that you know. If I had a time machine, and I could travel forward 10 years and see your life, and then come back and report to you, like, no, Barry, I'll take you with me. And then you can see what you're going to have to be able to do and what you're going to have to know in 10 years. Wouldn't that make this whole thing so much easier? Because the decisions that you make are going to be based off of the things that you study and know. You don't, again, you go back to the idea that we don't know what we don't know. And if you don't know what you don't know, then you don't know what you should be learning about, and you have no conception of the avenues that could open up to you, depending on what you know. We have no conception of the avenues that close us, that close off, because we don't know certain things. Like when you ask that question, when am I ever going to have to know chemistry? Why do we have to study chemistry? When am I ever going to have to know that? I don't know when you're going to have to know that. But are there lots of scenarios in which you would need to know it? Oh yeah. But better yet, there are scenarios that it would be helpful for you to know. We have to be very selective about how we use this word need. You don't need that. Yeah, you don't. When you're eating, what do you need? You need water and what else? Some protein? That's it. You don't need a bag of chips, do you? You don't need juice or soda or coffee. You don't need a roof over our head in San Diego. There's a lot of stuff we do, but we use that word like somehow this is determinant of the things that we should do in life. You don't need philosophy. You don't need chemistry. So what do you need? Depends on what you need depends on the level of existence you want to enjoy. Again, what you need depends on the level of existence that you want to enjoy. If you want to enjoy a very high level of existence, well then yeah, you need all those things. You need philosophy to understand the world around you and to be able to make sense of it so that you're a powerful, articulate individual which allows you to accomplish the things in life that you want to accomplish. There are ways that you could use chemistry. There are ways that you could use sociology and anthropology. All of those things are things that you can use. Sure, you don't need them, but God, you notice how we only apply this when we want to shut the door on something? You ever ask your parents, can we go to McDonald's? You don't need McDonald's. Tell your mom, you don't need a car. You can walk. Now, drive me to McDonald's. Get your hands up. Yeah, exactly. It's all kind of, we only use that when we want to win an argument. For a large part, this is it's an unethical word, the way that we use it. We're only using it to win an argument, not to get to any level of truth or understanding or knowledge. So, is the step that you learn in this class, are you going to need it in life? I don't know. I do know it's going to be incredibly helpful for you to be able to think in a world where lots of people aren't good at thinking. So this is why it's important, to figure out where we get our knowledge from, because it's absolutely determinant of your attitudes and your behaviors in life. When I ask you the question, well, where do you get your news from? You realize that you can look at very different news sources and get very different takes on the exact same story. You follow this? And this is something that you know intuitively. And here becomes the danger. Oh my God, so how do you know what the truth really is? Oh, forget it. And then we just become apathetic when we walk away from it. That too is going to determine how you live. That too is going to open up avenues for you or close off avenues for you. Largely it's going to close off avenues for you. Because who wants to be around that apathetic personality? You know? Who wants to be around think about like the things that are important to you. Better yet, how about this? Find yourself in situations where you ever found yourself in a situation where people are talking about things and you have no idea what the hell they're talking about? I know for some of you that happens daily in this class. And I'm not saying that to be cheeky. I really do mean that. But it's difficult to understand what's going on when you only check in every couple of minutes. And then you convince yourself, because you don't understand what's going on, this is bullshit, I don't even need this. Of course you don't think you need it, because you don't know what you don't know. And so we convince ourselves of those things based off of what we think we need. And of course what we think we need, I said, is already a rhetorical tactic to confirm our worldview about things, because we think it makes life easier. But it doesn't. Most people live lives of quiet desperation. And I'm sure you all know people like this, who are going through life quietly desperate, not in control of their own selves, not in control of their own situations, wishing that they were someone else and could do other things. And yet, we oftentimes fail to see the connection between not doing the things that we didn't need and our situations today. Often then we start to blame it on its situation. It's society's fault. It's that person's fault. It's Elon Musk's fault. It's somebody else's fault. It's like I was driving in this morning, I was thinking about these comments I see on Instagram from time to time. I think I mentioned them, where people say things like, school needs to teach us how to, do rental agreements and pay taxes and all these things, all these life skills. This is what school should teach us how to do. It does. It does. How do you read a rental agreement? You read the rental agreement. It's in language in front of you. What you're looking for is someone to say, here's what it says. That's not a skill. That's what we're asking for. How do you do your taxes? You read the tax form. It's written in 8th grade. It's written in 8th grade language. I'm sorry, 6th grade language. It's written in 6th grade language. If you're struggling to understand the tax form, my question is, what the hell have you been doing between 6th and 12th grades then? Have you not been improving your reading and comprehension skills? Did you stagnate? Whose fault is that? If your teacher's teaching you something and you're not focusing, you're not learning from it, well, whose fault is that? It's the teacher's fault for not being interesting. Oh, shit. Not to pat myself on the back, but God, I don't know where else you could be that's going to be more interesting and interactive than here. It's funny because I talk to my other classes, and they say, oh yeah, my other professor, other teacher, and God, they just complain about how boring they are. And some of you I know go out and complain about how boring I am. So it's just the whole subject is completely boring. It's not you at all. No connection there at all. Maybe it's because you don't know what you don't know because you're not paying attention to what's going on, so you miss the things that are useful. Whatever, man. I don't need this. You're right, and guess what? Society doesn't need you. And you know it intuitively. That's why we feel so goddamn alienated all the time. Who cares, man? No one cares about me. Why would they? What have you done to make yourself useful? What have you done to make yourself valuable? I'm just valuable in and of myself. No, you're not. There's 7 billion of us on this planet. You're as replaceable as a broken lawnmower part. Unless you make yourself useful in some way. Stand out in some way. And if you do it for yourself, that's a really good reason. And if you do it for yourself, if that's the motivation you need, great. But, you're going to have to be useful to people at some level. You're going to have to be useful to your family if you're planning to have a family someday. And if you're going to have a family someday, well, then you have to be useful to an employer because you're going to have a job to provide for them. Man, screw my employer. Damn it, no. You're not going to advance there. You're going to be exactly where you are right now in 20 years, and your children are the ones who are going to pay the price for that. Your children are going to pay the price for your arrogance and for your egotism and your refusal to grow in any meaningful way. It's not just you, it's your family down the road. And your grandchildren, because whatever situation you're creating for yourself right now is a situation that you're having your children born into. And the situation that you're having your children born into is the starting point for your grandchildren, and so forth, and so forth, and so forth down the line. It's not just you. And by the way, it's not you, it isn't like, oh, it takes, it's a whole community. We have to give up self to join the collective. No, bullshit also. So there's no reason to do that. You know what diffusion of responsibility is? It's when we stand around and we think somebody else is going to handle it, so therefore I don't. Do you know what this case was 2 weeks ago? On a New York train station, a woman was raped on a train. And people just stood by and watched. Some people filmed. No one did anything. Why? Somebody else's responsibility, not mine. I don't need to get involved in that. Okay. What if it's your family member next time? What if that person gets away with it, so the next time it's you, or your family member, or someone like that? Well, then we start to cycle through our heads. Let's see. I'm apathetic and I'm a coward. No. Well, what was she doing there in the first place? That's right. Let's blame the victim for our own moral failures. Yeah. Let's see where that gets us. It gets us a society that victimizes victims, doesn't stand up to evilness and wickedness, and then we're surprised when evil, wicked things happen. Then we look at the world and we go, man, the world sucks. Humans don't deserve to live. You're right. If you're not willing to do anything about it, of course. Yeah. You're not wrong about that. But understand that we're all part of that. You know? Your refusal to make the world a better place can very, very likely lead to the world becoming a worse place. And if you make the world better for yourself, and you do things that are sensible for yourself, then you're going to make the world a better place. You should be honest. Why? Because it makes your life better. And if you're honest, surprise, surprise, you make the world a better place too. You should pursue things ethically. Why? Because an ethical pursuit is going to benefit you more in the long run than an unethical pursuit. And then, surprise, surprise, you behave ethically, the world becomes a better place. You know? The problem is we've convinced ourselves of the things that we don't know. I don't need this. I shouldn't behave that way. I need to be unethical. I need to, and then, surprise, surprise, our environment becomes a far worse place. You know? So consider how you know what you know. Consider how it is that the ways in which you behave have been informed by the things that you've learned. And see the connection. If you think it needs to be fixed, fix it. If you think it's fine the way that it is, indulge in it. But think about it. Don't just give it a 5-second gloss. Because our unwillingness to engage that will direct you very closely to a self-awareness that what you're doing is wrong. In other words, if you refuse to examine yourself, it's because you intuitively know that examining yourself would lead you to a conclusion that would make you very, very uncomfortable, which is, I shouldn't be doing the things that I'm doing. If you're successful, you love reviewing your success. If you're failing, hate reviewing our failures. So that can be a guide to you intuitively right there. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? I don't think that'll make it to YouTube.